Billionaire married a fat girl for a bet of $10M, but her transformation shocked him. Some wins feel sweet until you realize what they cost. If you believe real love is earned, not bought, stay with me. Hello, family. Welcome back. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave a comment. It truly means the world to us. Share this video with your friends and loved ones. And be sure to turn on post notifications so you never miss any of our future videos. Thank you so much for the love and support. Daniel King stood in his glassy penthouse, a billionaire at 35. Smart, confident, cold. He measured life in numbers, deals won, people impressed. Feelings? He kept them locked away. That night, his home was full of smiling faces, music, laughter, fake praise. Daniel nodded and pretended he cared. Eric White, his oldest friend and fiercest rival, walked up with a grin. The kind of grin that starts trouble. "Daniel," Eric said, "we've competed in everything. I have a new challenge." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "Name it." "I bet you can't marry a woman who isn't your usual type. Live like a real husband for 6 months, no running, no separate rooms, and keep it together." Daniel scoffed. "That's your challenge?" Eric held up his phone with a number that made a few guests gasp. $10 million. Daniel's pride smiled first. "And if I refuse?" "Then the great Daniel King is scared of a simple marriage." "I don't get scared," Daniel said. "Deal." "I already have someone," Eric replied. "Her name is Maya Brown." Daniel sat at his wide glass desk, the message from Eric still glowing on his phone. Attached was a single picture, just one. He tapped it open. A woman looked back at him. Round cheeks, soft brown skin, full body. Not a model, not polished by stylists or filters. Her hair was pulled into a bun, and her smile, warm, honest, a little shy, lit up her whole face. For a moment, Daniel just stared. Then, like a switch, his business mind took over. He zoomed in on the image, studying her like he studied companies. She was sitting on a park bench, feeding birds. Her clothes were simple. Her eyes looked gentle but sharp. She wasn't glamorous, but there was something real there, something he couldn't label. He leaned back in his chair and exhaled. "Maya Brown," he murmured. "Let's see who you are." He opened his laptop. In minutes, his assistant brought him files, photos, online articles, and reports. Maya Brown, 29 years old, worked at a small community center, helped elderly people and single mothers. No scandals, no rich family, just good. Daniel frowned. "No skeletons?" His assistant shook her head. "None, sir. She's clean. Just ordinary." "Ordinary," he repeated. He wasn't sure if that disappointed him or intrigued him. For 2 days, Daniel watched. Not in a cruel way, just enough to learn her rhythm. He visited her workplace, disguised under a cap and sunglasses, sitting in his car. He saw her carry boxes, talk kindly to old people, help a crying child without hesitation. She was the kind of person who said thank you to the janitor and good morning to strangers. The kind of person Daniel never met in his circles. "She's too kind," he muttered to himself. "It will make this easy." But deep inside, something told him it might not. 3 days later, Daniel saw her again, this time at a small grocery store. She was wearing a long floral dress, hair loosely tied, pushing a half-filled cart. She wasn't graceful in the way supermodels were. Her steps were heavy, her shoulders round, but there was gentleness in the way she moved. Daniel stood by the fruit section, pretending to look at apples. He felt strangely nervous. This was new. Normally, women came to him. They smiled too quickly, laughed too loudly, tried too hard. But this woman didn't even know he existed. He adjusted his collar, took a quiet breath, and walked over. "Excuse me," he said softly. Maya turned, blinking at him. Her brown eyes widened. "Oh, yes?" Daniel smiled politely. "Do you know if these apples are sweet or sour?" "I can't tell the difference." She blinked again, then gave a small laugh. "You're asking me? I'm no expert. But I think those red ones are sweeter." Her voice was calm and kind. Daniel found himself smiling genuinely. "Thank you. You seem to know more than you think." Maya tilted her head, studying him. There was something familiar about his face, the voice, the confident way he stood. Wait, no, it couldn't be. Her eyes widened even more. You're Daniel King, she blurted. He chuckled lightly. Guilty. Oh my goodness, she said, covering her mouth, completely shocked. The Daniel King? The billionaire? I've seen you on TV. What are you doing here in a regular store? He shrugged, pretending to be casual. Even billionaires need fruit, don't we? She laughed nervously, her cheeks pink. I suppose so. I just didn't expect to see you here. Wow, this is unbelievable. Daniel looked at her for a moment, her awe, her innocence, and something in his chest shifted. This was supposed to be a game, but it didn't feel like one. He smiled gently. Well, now that fate brought us to the same apples, maybe we should make the most of it. She blinked again. I don't understand. I mean, he said smoothly, maybe I could buy you a coffee sometime? I'd like to know the woman who helped me pick the sweetest fruit in the store. Her mouth fell open slightly. Coffee? With me? Yes, with you. Maya laughed awkwardly, shaking her head. You're joking, right? This must be some kind of prank show. She looked around as if hidden cameras might pop out of the shelves. Daniel chuckled. No prank, I promise. Just coffee. Her face softened. Why me, though? You could ask anyone. He leaned a little closer, his voice low and kind. Because you're different. You didn't rush. You didn't pretend. You just smiled and talked like a real person. That's rare where I come from. She swallowed, trying to calm her racing heart. You don't have to say nice things to be polite, Mr. King. I don't say what I don't mean, he replied smoothly. And call me Daniel. She hesitated, still in disbelief. Every instinct told her this couldn't be real. But there he was, standing right in front of her, with eyes that seemed to see past her size and into something deeper. All right, she said. Finally, voice soft. Coffee then. Tomorrow? He asked. Tomorrow, she echoed. They exchanged numbers. Her hands trembled slightly when she typed his name, Daniel King, into her phone. When he left, pushing his cart toward the checkout, Maya stood frozen for a moment, staring after him. People like him didn't talk to people like her. Billionaires didn't notice women like her in floral dresses with big arms and round cheeks. But he had. She pressed her palm against her chest. What just happened? She whispered. Then she smiled to herself, small and disbelieving, but warm. Meanwhile, Daniel sat in his car, watching her through the window. She was still standing there, cheeks flushed, smiling faintly. He exhaled slowly, resting his head back. She's innocent, he murmured. This will be easier than I thought. But for a brief second, as her laughter replayed in his mind, he felt a strange sting in his chest. Something that didn't feel like victory. Something that felt almost wrong. He shook it off. It's just a bet, he told himself. 6 months, 10 million, that's all. Still, as he drove away, the voice in his head whispered again. Then why are you already thinking about what kind of coffee she likes? Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. And Maya Brown, the quiet woman who once fed birds in the park, found herself dating a billionaire. It still felt like a dream. Daniel was everything she never thought she could have. He picked her up in shining cars, opened doors for her, and made her laugh in ways that felt brand new. When they went out, people stared, whispered, took pictures, but he never seemed to care. At first, Maya didn't understand why he chose her. She wasn't slim or stylish. She didn't have long legs or a famous name. She had curves in every direction, and sometimes she hated them. But Daniel looked at her like she was made of gold. He called her beautiful. He told her she had the kindest eyes he'd ever seen, and every time he smiled at her, the walls she had built around her heart began to melt. For Daniel, the first few weeks were part of the plan. He was charming, polite, and thoughtful, just enough to make her fall. He knew how to speak the right words, buy the right flowers, and say the right things. It was supposed to be easy. 6 months of pretending, $10 million, and 1 win over Eric. But something unexpected began to happen. He started enjoying her company for real. Maya laughed, without trying to impress anyone. She loved helping people. She found beauty in small things, rain, old music, a good cup of tea. And slowly, Daniel realized he was no longer acting. When she smiled, his chest felt lighter. When she wasn't around, the house felt too quiet. He told himself it was just habit, but deep down, it wasn't. One evening, they were sitting at a small restaurant. Maya wore a simple black dress, her hair down, no makeup except lip gloss. She was talking about her day, how a little boy at her workplace gave her a handmade card that said, "You are my angel." Daniel watched her lips move, her eyes light up. He didn't hear every word. All he could think was how much peace she brought to him. Without planning it, he said softly, "Maya." She looked up, smiling. "Yes?" "Marry me." Her fork dropped. "What?" He smiled nervously. "Marry me. I know it's fast, but I can't imagine my life without you. I want to make you happy every day." Her eyes filled with tears. "Daniel, are you serious?" He took her hand. "I've never been more serious in my life." The people around them clapped as she nodded, shaking and laughing through tears. "Yes, I'll marry you." Daniel smiled, slipping a ring on her finger. It sparkled under the light, but not as brightly as her eyes. That night, as he lay awake beside her, a strange heaviness filled his chest. He had gotten what he wanted. The bet was almost done. But for some reason, he didn't feel like a winner. He turned and watched Maya sleeping peacefully, her hand resting on his chest. He whispered to himself, "What have I done?" The wedding came fast. It was grand, full of flowers, cameras, and whispers. Reporters were waiting outside, guests were dressed like royalty, and everyone wanted a glimpse of the woman who had captured Daniel King's heart. Maya stood in front of a mirror, her white gown flowing like a river. Her friends adjusted her veil, fixed her hair, and told her she looked like a queen. But inside, Maya was trembling not from fear, but from love too big for words. She couldn't believe this was happening. Her, the girl who never thought she was enough. She was about to become Mrs. Daniel King. When the music began, she took her father's arm and started walking toward the garden where the altar was set. The crowd turned to look. Everyone smiled. Cameras flashed. She was glowing, nervous, beautiful. Then, just before she reached the altar, she heard something that made her stop. The voices were coming from behind a large pillar nearby, familiar male voices, laughing. She recognized Daniel's best man, Kevin, and one of the groomsmen. She froze when she heard Daniel's name. "Can you believe this?" one of them said between laughs. "Only a few days left and the bet is won." "Yeah," another voice replied. $10 million. Daniel really did it. He made her fall for him hard. The great king wins again. Maya's blood turned to ice. Her heart pounded in her chest. Her hand shook so hard that the flowers almost fell from her grip. Another laugh. "He actually looks like he cares about her. That man deserves an Oscar. 6 months pretending to love that size of woman? Wow, that's commitment for cash." Maya's breath caught. Her ears rang. She felt dizzy, like the world was spinning away from her. The bet. It was true. Everything, the dates, the words, the proposal was all a game. Her eyes filled with tears as she stumbled backward, holding her gown up so it wouldn't trip her. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't think. All she knew was she had to get away. "Maya?" one of her bridesmaids whispered. "Where are you going?" But she didn't answer. She turned and ran through the garden, past the guests, tears streaming down her face, the lace of her gown tearing as she moved. People gasped. Someone called her name. Cameras flashed, but she didn't stop. She ran until her feet hurt, her makeup smeared, her veil half falling. Then she heard him. "Maya, Maya, wait." Daniel's voice. He was running after her, his suit jacket flying open, his face pale and desperate. "Maya, please wait." She stopped for just 1 second, turning to face him, her eyes red with tears. "It was all true, wasn't it?" she screamed. "All of it a bet?" Daniel froze, panting. "Maya, listen, I can explain." "Explain what? That you played with my heart for money? That you laughed about me behind my back?" she cried. "You made me believe in love, Daniel. You made me believe I was beautiful." "You are beautiful. he said, stepping closer. Please, it started as a bet. Yes, but then She held up her hand. Stop. Don't lie again. I'm not lying, he said desperately. I swear, I fell in love with you. I didn't expect it, but I did. You changed me, Maya. Please believe me. Her lips trembled. You don't get to use that word. You don't get to say you love me after what you did. Maya, I was ready to give you everything, she whispered, and you were ready to trade me for money. She took off the ring and pressed it into his hand. Congratulations, Daniel. You won your bet. You just lost me. Then she turned and ran again out the gates, into the street, into freedom, leaving behind the life that was never real. Daniel stood there, breathless, broken, the ring cold in his hand. The crowd behind him murmured, confused and stunned. The music stopped. He wanted to chase her again, but his legs wouldn't move. The look in her eyes had said everything. He had built his victory on a lie and lost the only woman who had ever loved him honestly. The rain started that night. Maya sat alone by the roadside, her white wedding gown soaked, her veil torn, her heart shattered into pieces too small to gather. The lights of passing cars blurred in her tears. Everything she had believed in had vanished in a single moment. The man she thought loved her, the man she had given her heart to, had only loved the idea of winning. Daniel King hadn't chosen her. He had bet on her. Her sobs echoed through the quiet night. Why me? She whispered. Why did it have to be me? But there was no answer. That night, she walked barefoot for hours until her feet bled, then knocked on her mother's door. Her mother gasped at the sight of her makeup streaked, dress ruined, eyes swollen from crying. Maya, my child, her mother whispered, holding her close. What happened? I've been looking for you. You ran away from your wedding. Daniel is so worried about you. He's been calling. Maya broke down completely, crying in her mother's arms like a child again. He didn't love me, Mama, she sobbed. It was all a bet. $10 million to make me fall in love. I was just a joke to him. Her mother stroked her hair gently, tears in her own eyes. Then he doesn't deserve you, my daughter. Let him lose his bet, but don't you lose yourself. Those words stayed in Maya's heart. Don't lose yourself. Days turned into weeks. The pain didn't go away. She couldn't sleep without seeing Daniel's face, hearing his voice. She kept asking herself what she had done wrong, why she wasn't enough. But one morning, when she looked into the mirror, her swollen eyes stared back with a kind of quiet anger. She whispered to herself, no more tears. That day became the beginning of her transformation. She packed her wedding dress into a box and burned it. Then she wrote in her journal, I will become someone new. Not for him, not for revenge, but for me. The first month was the hardest. She could barely walk into public spaces without feeling people's eyes on her. Everyone had seen the video, her running away in her gown, the crying bride who had been betrayed by a billionaire. Some pitied her. Some mocked her. She started going on early morning walks before the sun came up, when the streets were quiet and empty. Her body ached. Her knees hurt. But she kept going. One step, one day, one choice at a time. She joined a fitness group for women trying to live healthier lives. They welcomed her like family. Slowly, she began to heal inside and out. She learned how to eat differently, how to move differently, how to forgive her body for all the hate she had carried for years. Every time she wanted to quit, she remembered Daniel's groomsmen's cruel laughter from that wedding day. She remembered those men joking about her size, about the bet, and she whispered to herself, I'll show you who I am. 6 months passed. The woman in the mirror was no longer the same. Her cheeks were smaller, her body lighter. But more than that, her eyes had changed. They carried fire, determination, strength, pride. For the first time in years, she could walk into a store and not feel ashamed. She smiled when she saw her reflection. She smiled because she had fought for that woman staring back. By the 9th month, she had lost almost half her weight, not through surgery or shortcuts, but through pain, sweat, and unshakable will. Her confidence began to shine brighter than any diamond. People who once ignored her now turned to look. She had learned something Daniel never understood. that true beauty begins the moment you stop trying to please anyone else. A year after the broken wedding, Maya stood on a stage. She had been invited to speak at a women's health event about self-love and transformation. She wore a fitted blue dress, her body now a strong size 12. The audience clapped as she shared her story, not the details about Daniel, but the message. "I was once a woman who believed her worth depended on someone else's eyes," she said, her voice steady. "But I've learned that your body, your scars, your past, they don't define your value. What defines you is how you rise after being broken." When she stepped off the stage, reporters surrounded her, cameras flashing. She smiled for every photo, but inside, she felt something deeper peace. Daniel sat alone, watching her on TV. "I'm sorry," he whispered into the empty room. "I'd give up 10 million times that amount just to see you again." Maya had built a new life, healthier, happier, freer. She had started her own small fitness program for women who wanted to heal the way she had. Her story inspired many. But sometimes, late at night, she still thought about him. Not with anger anymore, but with quiet sadness. Because no matter what he had done, a part of her heart still remembered how much she had loved him. Still, she told herself she had moved on. She had survived. She had rebuilt her life. Until one sunny afternoon, when fate decided their story wasn't quite finished. Maya was standing outside a cafe, talking to a friend, when a black car pulled up. The door opened, and out stepped Daniel King. Her breath caught in her throat. He looked different, thinner, older, sadder. His eyes scanned the street for someone, and when they landed on her, he froze. The woman standing before him wasn't the same Maya he had betrayed. This woman was stunning, glowing with health and confidence. Her hair fell in soft waves. Her dress hugged her figure perfectly. Her smile was calm, not shy anymore. "Maya," he whispered, his voice breaking. She looked at him for a long moment, then said softly, "Hello, Daniel." And just like that, the past came rushing back. The love, the pain, the regret. But this time, it was his turn to feel small. This time, he was the one who didn't feel worthy. For a long moment, Daniel and Maya just stood there, staring at each other. The noise of the street faded. The people, the cars, the chatter, it all disappeared. It was just them again. Daniel's throat tightened as he took a slow step toward her. "You look beautiful," he whispered, his voice trembling. "More than I ever remembered." Maya didn't smile. Her eyes were calm, but distant. "People change," she said quietly. He nodded, swallowing hard. "Yes, and I see that now. You've become everything I always knew you could be." Her heart ached. Once, those words would have made her melt. Now, they only reminded her of how much she had cried because of him. She turned slightly, ready to walk away, but his voice stopped her. "Maya, please," he said softly. "Don't go. Just give me 5 minutes. That's all I ask." She hesitated, then finally nodded. They sat at a small table outside the cafe. The silence between them was heavy, full of everything they hadn't said for a whole year. Daniel finally spoke, his voice low. "I know there's nothing I can say to erase what I did," he said. "The bet was foolish, cruel, heartless, and I'll regret it until the day I die. But I swear to you, Maya, somewhere in the middle of that stupid game, I fell in love with you. Truly, deeply." Maya looked down, her throat tightening. "You destroyed me, Daniel," she said softly. "You made me believe in forever, and then you made it all a lie." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. "I know," he whispered. "I live with that pain every single day. I lost the best woman I ever had because I was a fool." She stood slowly, shaking her head. "I can't, Daniel. I can never trust you again." "Maya, please," he said, his voice breaking. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I just needed to tell you, I never stopped loving you." Her heart twisted. For a moment, she almost wanted to believe him, but she couldn't. Not yet. "I'm sorry," she whispered, and then walked away, leaving him standing there in silence, tears falling down his face. Weeks passed. Maya tried to forget him, but she couldn't. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw his face. Every word he said echoed in her mind. She hated herself for still caring. She hated how her heart still beat faster whenever she remembered his voice. One night, unable to sleep, she sat by her window, the moonlight washing over her face. Her journal lay open beside her, and she wrote quietly, "I've forgiven him in my heart, but I never told him. Maybe I still love him. Maybe I always will." The next morning, Maya made a choice. She drove to Daniel's house. When the gates opened, his guards looked shocked, but one of them smiled faintly. "He's home, ma'am." Daniel opened the door himself and froze when he saw her. He looked lost for words. "Maya?" he whispered. She took a shaky breath. "We need to talk." He stepped aside quietly, afraid to hope. Inside, the house felt different, quieter, emptier, sadder. She noticed the photo of her that still sat on the piano. Her heart softened. "Maya," he said gently, "you didn't have to come. I understand if you can never forgive me." She looked into his eyes that were once so proud, now filled with regret. "I already forgave you," she said softly. "A long time ago. I just never told you." His breath caught. You forgave me?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, because holding on to hate was killing me. I didn't do it for you, Daniel. I did it for me. But standing here now, I realize something." He stepped closer, his heart pounding. "What?" Tears filled her eyes. "That I still love you. I tried to stop, but I can't. I love you, Daniel." For a moment, he just stared at her, his lips trembling, his eyes full of disbelief and emotion. Then he reached for her hands, holding them tight against his chest. "Maya," he whispered hoarsely, "I love you so much. It hurts. Every day without you felt like punishment. I've missed you more than I can explain." Her tears fell freely now. "And I've missed you too," she said through sobs. "Even when I tried not to." He pulled her closer, his arms wrapping around her like he was afraid she'd disappear. They both cried long, quiet tears that washed away a year of pain. When he finally tilted her chin up, his eyes were glistening. "I promise I'll spend the rest of my life making it right," he whispered. Maya smiled through tears. "Then start now." And with that, he kissed her. It was gentle at first, soft, trembling, full of emotion. Then it deepened into something real, something raw, the kind of kiss that said we made it through the storm. Months later, Daniel proposed again. No cameras, no crowd, no lies. Just a quiet evening, a simple ring, and a promise. "Maya," he said softly, "no games this time. No money, no bets, just love. Marry me for real." She smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. "Yes, 1,000 times, yes." Their real wedding was small, but beautiful. Maya wore a flowing cream gown that shimmered softly under the lights. Daniel couldn't take his eyes off her as she walked down the aisle, her smile glowing brighter than ever. When she reached him, he whispered, "You're my miracle." She smiled back, whispering, "And you're my second chance." As they exchanged vows, both of them cried tears not of sorrow, but of gratitude. Daniel took her hands and said, "You taught me that love isn't about winning or losing. It's about becoming better for each other." Maya smiled, whispering, "And you taught me that forgiveness can heal what pain once destroyed." When they kissed, the crowd clapped softly. But to them, the world disappeared again. There was no pain, no past, no doubt. Only love, pure, patient, and real. Maya and Daniel King were finally married. Not for money, not for pride, but for love, the kind that breaks you, rebuilds you, and stays forever. The end. Did you enjoy this story? Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more amazing stories. Thank you so much for watching.